Krishnamurti now began taking a hard look at the organization that surrounded him and the audiences who gathered to hear him speak. He realized he'd become a mere figurehead surrounded by a crowd of followers and acolytes.
I was in revolt against Theosophists, with all their jargon, their theories, their meetings, and their explanations of life. I questioned everything because I wanted to find out for myself.
This was part of Krishnamurti's process of growing up and becoming an independent teacher. He told a friend, "I don't give a damn about the world teacher." And he wondered why they had picked him.
It had been 20 years since the Theosophists had plucked him from obscurity and thrust him onto the world stage. Now, at 34, Krishnamurti decided to stop performing a role he no longer believed in. On August 3, 1929, using poetic yet powerful language, he gave a speech that would forever change his life.
I maintain that truth is a pathless land and cannot be approached by any path whatsoever, by any religion, by any sect.
Before several thousand Theosophists, he dissolved the Order of the Star in the East and announced that he now wanted no followers.
A belief being purely an individual matter, you cannot and therefore must not organize it. If you do, it becomes crystallized, dead. It becomes a creed, a sect, a religion to be imposed on others.
He said, you have to find out for yourself what is truth. You cannot rely on me. They weren't expecting this. They were expecting salvation. He didn't provide salvation. He provided doubt, skepticism, and the tools for looking within.
Theosophists were devastated. Everyone felt abandoned, lost without Krishnamurti's spiritual leadership.
I've heard old-time Theosophists from that time speak of how it was sort of like the waking up from a dream, you know, the destruction of something that had been very precious in your life and kind of floundering around, you know, where do we go from here?
Although his future was now uncertain, Krishnamurti stood firm. He walked away from his life of privilege, returned to the estates, and retreated to his small house in California. Since the age of 14, his days had been organized and scheduled by the Theosophists. Now, for the first time in his adult life, Krishnamurti was free to make his own choices. And he made it clear that he was not the world teacher, not the Messiah. Still, thousands came to hear him speak.
He taught some things that were uncomfortable for the Theosophists. He said that the whole emphasis on reincarnation was misguided and irrelevant. The whole business of masters is truly irrelevant from his perspective.
He now stressed that it was his message that was important, and that he, as the messenger, was irrelevant. He took the skills he had learned as an orator with the Theosophists and applied them to his own message. And for more than 50 years, Krishnamurti traveled the world, encouraging his audiences to abandon religious dogma and find their own answers.
A religious life implies being a light to yourself, which means no outside authority, no spiritual authority, including me.
People asked him, what should I believe? How should I behave? And he mirrored that back by saying, what do you see? He was saying the enlightenment is for you to discover, not for me to give to you.
From the 1960s on, Krishnamurti devoted much of his time and energy to the creation of schools around the world that stress spiritual and creative exploration, as well as intellectual growth.
He founded a school in which the main object, they claim, is to have people think for themselves. Well, you can't give a greater gift than that to the whole process of education.
The educator is the greatest individual
on earth, because he's bringing up children for the future. Therefore, they are much more important than the politicians, than the religious leaders and priests and the business people and all the rest of it. It's a sacred profession.
In 1986, at the age of 90, Jiddu Krishnamurti died at his home in Ojai. He left behind more than 40 volumes of his writings, thousands of hours of audio and video recordings, as well as foundations and schools that help protect and spread his message.
I would have to say that his legacy, at least among ordinary people, is rather slight. Now, that doesn't mean that he isn't important in more subtle ways. All of the great prophets had something to give to the world. They all had wisdom, and of course it's up to the world to listen to what they had to say.
Once when asked, what are you leaving behind, Krishnamurti said, you can burn the books, you can destroy the tapes. If there are not people who have understood what I have been talking about, then there is nothing.
In this there is no teacher, no pupil, there is no leader, there is no guru, there is no master, no savior. You yourself are the teacher and the pupil, you are the master, you are the guru, you are the leader, you are everything.